So here we are then, final episode of this particular weekend, third and final episode. Playing really well so far, only had the one loss, and we're scoring at will, defending really well. No real scares up until this point, as I said, just the one loss. Let's get into the remaining couple of games, so straight into it. Okay, so start things off with game number 16, I think it is now. And this opponent here, as you can see here, he's got a tribute cards on a couple of his players there. And this is just quite a good point to talk about here, because this guy I have seen in the top 40 on the PC. So he's obviously a decent player, which begs the question, like, why would you need to use the attribute cards if you're already a fairly decent player? So I'm going to talk a little bit about that when I've sort of personally used attribute cards on my players in other games. And just to see what sort of difference it does make in terms of how you play. So, as I said, this guy's obviously a decent player. So it's whether or not the question you need is, do you need these attribute cards? And when I've used them personally, I tend to feel that I force my game a little bit towards them, because obviously I know I've got these players with mentally inflated stats, much higher base card value than what's normally on that particular card. I tend to rush it and I tend to force it to these players because I feel like I can just give it to them and something's going to happen, rather than playing a little bit more naturally, a little bit more within myself and with those cards. So when I do have them, it just makes things a little bit more forced, and I know that obviously you've got the higher rated cards players anyway. You should be able to do quite a bit of damage with the card you got, and I've obviously got a very strong squad. But I don't know. Obviously, EA feel like attribute cards are have their place in FUT Champions, especially because otherwise they wouldn't include them. But personally, I just feel it takes a little bit away from the game. You've got these incredibly high squads anyway. You're going into FUT Champions. It's supposed to be a competitive element. And the attribute cards do take away from that for me. I don't tend to use them myself. I did use them previously, just to avoid a couple of games when I needed to get into different rankings or different tiers and things like that, just to try and avoid chokes, I suppose, just to see if I can get away with a solid victory. Rather than going into a game with my normal team and struggling. But that just creates the sort of negativity just straight off the bat that you are going to go into a game and you're going to struggle, rather than just going straight into your squad, being confident with what you got, with the tools you've got disposed to you, and just playing your natural game. So personally, I don't like to use them, and obviously EA agree, because obviously EA disagree, sorry, because they're keeping them in the game for now. I've not heard any sort of talk or anything from EA's developers about taking them out of the game, so it might just be have something that we live with for now. But it is something to keep an eye on, I suppose, because if EA are going to continue to push towards this competitive esports sort of aspect of FIFA, they might have to address it at some point, because it can be seen as a little bit cheap. I know there's been an awful lot of posts on Reddit about people coming up against opponents in important games and they've got attribute cards, and I completely understand the point. But until EA do address it, or want to address it, I should say, it's just going to have to be something that's part of this game. There's already an incredible amount of bullshit in FIFA anyway, we already know that. You just got to live with it. You just got to try your best not to get let it take hold of you, and just enjoy the game for what it is in its current state. That's what I try to do. I'm not the best at it, because I get very frustrated at this game sometimes, but when I come away and I sit back and I do watch the gameplay, I appreciate I'm editing the gameplay. I get a different perspective on it. I'm not just watching it back for my own sort of personal development in terms of my gameplay or anything like that. I appreciate that I'm editing it in terms of a content making aspect, but attribute cards are here to stay as far as we know for now. We're just going to have to sort of deal with it. So that's my point of view. I don't know if if we're going to get any comments or any feedback in the. I might make a Reddit post or something like that to go along with this video once I've completed this particular weekend league, and we'll just get some opinions on it. It would be nice to hear, but we'll get into the gameplay now. We haven't lost the game, as I've been rambling on about the attribute cards here, and we get another rage quit into into Elite 2, I think we are now. Let me just double check once the things come up here. No, we're one win off from Elite 2, so we're doing really well so far. We've only lost the one throughout this weekend. We've come up against a very average Premier League team, all told here. Deeper into the weekend league as we go, and I don't know if it's because EA sort of extended this particular weekend league or not, but or I don't know if it was just that I was in really good form, but. Obviously, this one went through to the Monday, and we were playing because the servers went down over the weekend, so they extended it, which was good of EA. They didn't have to do that, but can you imagine the backlash if they didn't? But it went into the Monday. I don't know if it was people sort of in the top 40 tier and the higher player brackets had already completed their games by the time I was getting around to my games, because I was playing these on Monday evening, you see, or throughout Monday afternoon into the evening. So I don't know if that plays into it, and I was playing against sort of lower tier players who were getting into getting their games through as well. But we're still continuing this good form on, and not having any sort of hiccups or any scares. Because as the weekend carries on, I do struggle a little bit more the higher it gets, so the nerves kick in, and I just start to rush things, and I start to play a little bit outside myself, and I start to play much worse. But this game was a very difficult game. I do remember really solid team. 9 goal puts my opponent 1-0 up here very early on in the game, and this is what I mean about sort of getting into the higher levels, nerves taking over, coming up against better people, and struggling. But right on the stroke of half time, we play the ball short from a corner, bit of build-up play, difficult to defend. Mane puts it in, 1-1 just on half time. We might avoid the disappointing defeat here, but Mane gets through. 70th minute, my opponent 2-1 up. Pretty even game, as you can see right towards the end of the game as well. Pogba into Martial back to Pogba, and he smashes it in near post. Very, very lucky goal, I have to say, because near post finishes like that. I think it was Pogba's weak foot as well that just creeps in. But this is the sort of luck that we've been getting all weekend. Again, highlighted here, De Gea parries it back into the middle of the box, and Pogba puts it away. 3-2 in extra time. Difficult game winding down. And again, not long after the interval in half time, we get away with Martial. Some nice little hold up play. This might be seen as a bit cheap, holding it in the corner a little bit, but I always intended to get into the box. Breaks away, Dybala picks it up, Kante into Ibrahimovic, and he pokes it home past Butland. And that is another difficult game, but another one we've avoided and got out with a win. So we're 1 win off Elite 1 now. And that is the absolute best that you can possibly hope for. You can get into the top 40 as well, obviously, but Elite 1, if you manage to get into there, you've got to be happy with that. So we get an early start here again. Kane absolutely bursting through, muscles Socrates off the ball, slots it home. Best possible start we can get in this game. Going 1-0 up within 10 minutes again. But again, difficult opposition. Aubameyang smashes it past De Gea, gives me a dab, which is, yeah, fair enough. You can't really complain at that. We get another goal through here. Dele Alli smashes it straight to Leno, but Hazard there. Fortunate goal again, but you've got to take anything you can get right on the stroke of half time. Again, he gets Keita in there, finesses it past De Gea. Just after, midway through the second half, really, and we're probably starting to hit the top tier of players again. Now you can see he's got the gold EA reward kit there, so he's a decent player. Corner in here, Kante picks it back up on the edge of the box. Zlatan on as a sub, spins him and smashes it home. 3-2. 5 minutes left in the game. That's how the game finishes there, and we're into Elite 1, so we get the best possible rewards that we can get, bar finishing in the top 40. So we've got the 2 games left. Just entirely depends how we get on here. We could go through the weekend only losing the one. So right at the start of this game as well, we get Mane played through into Hazard here. Mane does his man. Another one, Kante's bursting through, of all people. He just seems to be everywhere on the pitch. He doesn't really score for me, but he's here again. He pops up with one of the biggest goals we'll probably get all weekend. Lacazette smashes it over the bar here, and for some reason, my opponent tends to watch this replay just for a little bit more and take my goal kick here, and game disconnects. So who's to know? He might have been using a trainer, just giving himself a win, which can happen on the PC fairly often, but quite strange for him to disappear just after 20 minutes. And now we're just one game away from that 24 wins, one game off an undefeated weekend league. And again, really early on since game, Kane bursts into the box and he gets brought down here. Bit of a soft penalty, but he did lunge at me, and we get Hazard in here. Haven't got the target here, which EA have since patched out anyway, so I'm going to have to get used to that. But Hazard puts it away, sends keeper the wrong way, and we're 1-0 up early in the game again. So brilliant start once more. And double the lead. Not long after, Kante again popping up with another goal. He just seems to be in the right place right as we need him. Right in these last two games, Kane, lovely little shield and hold up play and puts it near post. Half an hour gone, we're 3-0 up. Absolutely cruising in this game. We're just strolling towards the 24 wins for the weekend. He gets a little bit of a fortunate goal here for Cordoba, bit of a melee in the box, and I can't seem to defend it. But again, another one of these short corners. Pogba into Kane, plays it around the defence. Mane there smashes it home. So 4-1. Not long left in the second half. We're gonna run away with it. We get Mane in again, and that is an absolutely gorgeous chip. And what a way to finish the weekend off here, with a lob and a dab celebration, because my opponent shortly after this boots the ball out of the play, and he quits not long after that. So what an absolutely fantastic game to finish this weekend. 5-1 victory, forcing a rage quit. Gorgeous goal from Mane just to finish things off. There's the confirmation of it. 24 wins for the weekend. One game off an undefeated season. And once we load back into the menus there, we're actually in the top 40. So I'll show you now where we finished off in the middle of the week. So as you can see there, that's the stats for the 25 games we played there. And on the right hand side, we actually managed to finish up in 11th in the world, because once EA had gone through, filtered all the people using trainers and cheats and things like that, there we are, 11th in the world for PC. And in Europe, we were actually 7th overall, which is an absolutely brilliant weekend. Thank you very much for watching this particular weekend for mine. Hopefully you join me for the next time we do one of these, and we'll see you then.